Hello, just going to do a short video about using hashtags on Twitter. You can actually use hashtags on a number of other websites as well. Google Plus is really hot on hashtags, but they've not really taken off as much on LinkedIn or Facebook. But on Twitter in particular, which we're looking at today, hashtags can be very useful, but they can also be a bit confusing for anyone who's new to Twitter. So first of all, what is a hashtag? Well, I'm looking at my LinkedIn Twitter account at the moment, and these are some of the tweets that I've added. And can you see the hashtag is this little thing here, and I use it in front of certain words. Now, the reason I do that, first of all, it helps it to get found if people are searching for those hashtags. They might be searching for LinkedIn. My tweets are more likely to show up in their search results. But also, can you see how it stands out? It's a different colour on the tweet. So people looking at that tweet, it immediately tells them the key thing that's important about that tweet. You know, if they're looking for information on LinkedIn, LinkedIn stands out. And again, it's a LinkedIn tip. So no, I'm not trying to sell them something. It's a useful tip. So if they're interested in that, their eye is going to be drawn to that tweet. So have a think with your own business and product. What sort of hashtags, what sort of words do you want to stand out? What do you think people will be searching for? Now, with hashtags, there are some hashtags that are in regular use, so people know what they are. For example, there's Follow Friday. Every Friday, people just say follow these people. They do a Follow Friday for certain Twitter accounts. So basically, people are saying to their followers, follow these people on Twitter because they're nice people. So I'll just see if there's any options here. Yes, can you see I've gone into my other Twitter account, one of my business Twitter accounts, and I went to notifications, and somebody has put Follow Friday, bright yellow, which is me, and then a load of other people. Now, it's not actually good practice to just list a load of people. The best practice is to say Follow Friday for so-and-so because they're great people to know, they've helped me a lot this week, or something like that, rather than just listing people. But as you can see, when you do list people, they do tend to retweet it and share it to their followers. So it's just quite a crafty way of getting your name out. And people do just seem to pick random people sometimes. Follow Friday isn't as popular as it used to be, but it is a good way to show you a hashtag that a lot of people use and know what it means. Now, you may see, if you've been watching TV, you've probably seen a hashtag for the TV programme. If you put that hashtag into the search bar on Twitter, it will bring up the tweets of all the people who are using that hashtag for that programme. And also, you can have hashtags for various other things. For example, the local hours are very popular. For example, we've got a Norfolk hour, and from 8:30 to 9:30 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, people can tweet under the Norfolk hour hashtag and chat to each other. So it's a way of bringing together all the people in that locality. So I'll give you an example. So I've typed in Norfolk hour into the search box on Twitter, and it will bring up all the tweets of the local people who are using that hashtag. So it's a way to find local people. So check whether you've got a local hour near you. In the UK, there's an England hour. There are all sorts of things. And if you haven't got one near you, have a think about setting it up and just encouraging local people to interact with you. That's assuming that you are looking for local people as followers. There are also various hashtags to chat with other people in your profession, other people who are interested in the same things you are. So you can quite easily find them. Once you start following people, you'll see them using hashtags, and you can click in and find out what they're talking about. So whenever you see a hashtag, it is a link. You can click on it, and it will take you to those discussions. For example, if you're an author, there are quite a few hashtags that are used, such as hashtag #amwriting, hashtag indie author, hashtag self-pub, hashtag author, hashtag writing. There's a whole load. There's also a useful one, hashtag journo chat or journo request, where you can keep track of journalists who are wanting to interview people. So if you do specialise in a certain topic, it's quite useful to keep an eye out for journalists looking to interview people who are experts in that topic. You never know what you might pick up. I'll show you an example of that in a minute. I use a tool called HootSuite, which makes life a lot easier to keep track of these hashtags. So rather than just being on the Twitter website where you have to click around a lot of places, you'd have to put in your search term each time that you log in. I use HootSuite, and there are various other tools that do the same thing. Most of what you need to do on HootSuite is free, but there is a paid version to do a bit more. But in the free version, you can run searches. So, for example, I run searches here. I've got a tab here with some searches running. So you've got Norfolk Hour. So in one place, I can just see immediately the people who are tweeting about Norfolk Hour. So I don't have to go into the search bar each time I go onto the Twitter website. It's just there in front of me. And I can click on people, look at their profile and follow them or reply or add them to a list. And you can organise tweets to go out on Norfolk Hour or any of the other hours that you might be using. Let's see if there's any other. There's Journo Chat there. So I've got searches running for Journo Chat. And so various things, depending on what your subject matter is, just have a think about what hashtags people might be using. And as I say, as you start to follow more people in that industry, you'll start to notice the hashtags and just click through and see if it's worth following them. If you run an event, you might want to create a hashtag for that event. We ran exhibitions called All About Business, and we created a hashtag AAB 2013, 2012, whatever. But do a search first to check that nobody else is using that hashtag. So you can create your own hashtag if nobody else is using it. There are a few places where you can register hashtags, but they're not used by everyone. So there's no strict rule about creating hashtags. It's a sort of free-for-all, really. And it's just that you don't want other people to pick up your tweets if somebody else is using the hashtag for something completely different. So you want to make sure nobody else is using your hashtag. If you are going to an event, check whether the event organisers have created a hashtag, and then you can follow that hashtag and interact with people before you go to the event or while you're at the event. Or if you can't make it to the event, you can still follow what's going on online, run the search, and then you can still interact and reply, and it just gets your name out to people in your target audience. There's a few ways that you can use hashtags like that. So just have a think whether they're TV programmes that your typical client might be watching. You might want to do a search for that hashtag, and it's a good way to find people to follow. So lots of uses. Just have a think about who you're targeting, what hashtags you can use for your own content, and what hashtags you can just search for to find other people in the industry or for content to share or find people to follow. So I hope that's useful. Thank you for listening.